Hey friends, Kelly here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be working with the new stamp release from Kellie Stamps. I am working with the digital version of the routine stamp set, and so I'm going to play around with this stamp set and also show you how I create the photo I'm using over in Photoshop. So let's go ahead and get over to my computer and I'll show you how I get started. So I have already created this document many times. This is the size I work in. I have it just shy of 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. I have 8 1/4 is the height, 4 and 1.25 is the width that I like to work with. That way I can go edge to edge and I don't have to worry so much about trimming once I get it over to my desktop, to my work surface, because I am known for doing that. So I have my size, my dimensions here. This is going to fit inside a page protector, inside my Life Crafted album. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have it as portrait, and I want to make sure my background here is white. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just pull in my photo. So I already have navigated to the folder where I have my photo, and I'm just going to drag and drop. So I'm working with a JPEG. I'm going to drag it in, and then I'm going to just pull the corner down to enlarge it. Now, because of this photo, the photo I'm working with, I'm not so worried about making sure that it is, I'm not worrying about the cropping because I'm okay with losing some of the edges here. So Photoshop is going to go ahead and just auto guide it right in there and click it into the center for me. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yep, that works for me. And next I'm going to drop in all of the stamps I want to use. So let me go ahead and navigate to my stamp folder. So again, I'm working with the routine stamp to start. This is the new release from Kellie Stamps for the month of September. And I'm going to work with the white PNG. Now when you get a digital order from Kellie Stamps, you're going to get JPEG, which is going to be black. You're also going to get a folder that is a black PNG, and you're going to get a folder with white PNGs. Now this piece right over here, if you can see that, is just something I create myself to just give myself a visual of what all the stamps look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go in here. Now I just know what I'm looking for, so I'm going to go ahead and go down here, and I'm going to pull in the top 5. I'm going to start with the bold. And I want to just position it right at the top here. I'm not going to mess with the scale because I actually really like how that looks on the page. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in the outline. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not the outline I want. I want the black outline. So let me go pull that. Pull the black outline. I'm going to let it be the same size because it came in the same, and then I'm just going to use my arrows on my keyboard to just offset it just a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and say okay. Now I kind of want to move it over just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and select those 2 layers by holding down Shift and selecting them over here in my layers palette. And now both are selected, and I'm just going to again nudge them with my arrow key. So I'm just going to move them around a little bit till I get the visual effect I want. So that looks good for now. Now, next thing I would do is go ahead and just start plugging in the rest of my stamps. So for the spread that you see in my project today, I have actually gone in and combined several of Kellie Stamps' previous collections. But what I started with was bringing in just a text box. So I'm just going to drag in a text box, and then I am going to just change the text to, let's go with Open Sans. I tend to use that one a lot. I also use, is it here, this Latin Modern Mono. Kind of looks like a typewriter font, so I'll use that one quite frequently in my journaling when I'm doing something digital. So next I've gone ahead and I've just moved over into changing my color. Let me back up so I can do that a little slower. So right up here, right now I'm at the top of my toolbar here where all of my text tools are. And right now I just want to change the color. So it's already white, but if it was something else, here's where I would go and change that. So usually I'll just go up to the corner, or for white, I happen to know it's 6 Fs. So we're just going to go ahead and put that in, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with 11 point, and let's say my favorite favorite things about let's see, top 5. Well, I don't want to say my, get rid of that. Top 5 favorite things about. And let's just go ahead and make that a bit bigger. Let's try. Okay. The other thing I might do is I might play around over here with my character tools here. And so I want to spread this out a bit. So let's go ahead and we're going to play around with the kerning and the spacing. I'm probably messing up those terms. I'll be honest, I'm not well versed in the terminology of digital or of design. I'm completely self-taught, and I have been for many years working on digital projects, and I just find myself to be the type that I just learn by doing. So every time I've ever taken a class online or anything, it's so cool, I learned something, and then I don't apply it very often, so I forget. Okay, so again, now I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling in some of the stamps. So just to kind of pull a few more in, just so you can, again, see it in practice, I'll just pull in a few of the numbers and then move back to my desk to finish the process. So again, I'm just pulling in my numbers. Now, I'm not going to be able to fit all 5 on. So what I had done when I created the original page was I went ahead and I adjusted. Some of them I left a little bit larger, and some I changed to fit in the project. So like here, I'm just simply grabbing the corners and dragging just for fun. Let's go ahead and throw the 4 in. Let's make that one a little bigger. And then finally we'll drop in the 5. Oh, said no, you won't. Okay, drop in the 5 here. And so you could play a lot around here with, manipulating things so that some of the numbers kind of nest within each other. And I kind of played around with that a little bit. You could have them interlinking. That would be really fun. It's just a ton of versatility. This set this month is so fun. There's so much you can do with it. I foresee these numbers being part of my December daily project. I see the numbers and this whole set being really valuable for like day in the life or week in the life. For example, let's see here. Let me go into the black. It's a little bit easier to see. The clock face, working in with that, you could do something with day in the life, and again, just popping that in, and then I could take this one, scale it down a bit, and plug that in. Oh, we got to bring that up. So I'm just going to work over here, my layers palette. So example here, it would be another really fun thing to do. So hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of how I made that page come together. Again, all I did was simply use the text tool and drag and drop, and that was it. And then I just used some scaling to just manipulate everything and move things around, and arrow keys to nudge things. So I'm not doing anything super complicated. I'm just using the simplest tools that I can to make it work for me to create this page. So let me go ahead and bring you back over to my desktop and finish up this project. I've pulled out some papers this week from the Maggie Holmes Heritage Collection, as well as a paper pad that I've had for a while called Peachy Evergreen. It's Recollections from Michaels. And if that's still available, I'll make sure to link it below. But I really loved the warm tones of all of these papers. And this whole spread is about the love of autumn, the love of fall. And so these warm colors, these warm tones are what really jumped out at me and spoke to me. And I loved the butterscotch color and the warmer pink color, and so I wanted to make sure that that's what I based my page off of. So I'm just trying to decide what's going to be the background paper for the right-hand side. The other thing I have on my desk is this little kit that I have built based around that heritage set. So inside of this kit, I have some of the papers. I have some pulled from a 6x8 paper pad, as well as 12x12s cut down. I have pulled a few things out of my stash, and I have some washi tape, a little card so that I just have it on the go, and some die cut or some cardstock stickers. So I've just got all of this out on my desk. I'm going to go through the 4x6 papers that I have cut down just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and then also to pull out the papers that I've already decided I want to use, because that way I don't have to cut into those 12x12 pieces. I ended up pulling out this other peachy pink color. I really liked that one that kind of has that grid on it. And then ultimately I'm going to decide to use the floral paper as the background. I'm working outside of the page protector on the right side of this spread, so I have some white cardstock that I've already pre-cut to the size that I want to use, and I have a little template that I've already used to cut out, or rather to punch the holes. I don't have a 6-ring or a 6-hole punch. I just have a little piece of cardboard, it's a heavier cardstock that I have gone ahead and pre-punched the holes, and I use that as my template. So that is how I've gotten to this point, and I'm just going to go ahead and get these little holes punched and move on. I recently just got this tag die set from scrapbook.com, and I was really itching to use it. So I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and base this page off of these tag dies. And I really I had my eye on this tag set for quite some time, and I kept thinking to myself, it's just a rectangle with the corners notched off. Why would I ever buy a tag die set? But then I realized the reason why I need to buy this is because it will actually force me to make large tags. I love the idea of these large shipping tags, or putting large scale tags into my albums, especially December Daily. And I just know that I'm more likely to do it if I have this die set, because I'll want to use it. So that is my reasoning for purchasing this die set. Now I've gone ahead and also pulled out my Sizzix Sidekick, and I got lucky that the largest tag I wanted to use is actually going to fit. I've zoomed in here for a moment because I wanted to show you guys this. This is kind of one of those aha moments I've had. I was putting the dies back on, and I saw this little piece here, and I couldn't figure out what it was for until all of a sudden I realized it's notched in, so you can put it into the die, and then it helps to create the little hole. And I kind of had this moment of like, oh, duh. So I just thought it was funny, and I wanted to point that out to you guys. The other thing I'm playing around with is the hole reinforcer. So the die set comes with little hole reinforcers, but I wanted to play around with the scale. I have this hole punch, and it's a thicker reinforcer. The scale's a little larger. So I kind of wanted to play around with that and decide which route I wanted to go. In the end, I am going to go to the thinner one, and I'll explain why when I kind of get to that point. But it was kind of, again, another one of those things that I bought the hole punch, and I went, why am I buying this? And I use it all the time. I love it. I will make sure to, even though I don't end up using it, oh, actually I take that back. I do use it towards the end, so I'll make sure to link that below as well. So now I've gone ahead and I've pulled out the other dies that I'm going to use, and I was kind of struggling a little bit with the scale because it goes from large to medium to teeny tiny. And I wasn't sure I loved that. I struggle a little bit further into the process where I'm kind of hemming and hawing about it, but in the end, I do end up using it. So I've gone ahead and I've just cut out my dies, or rather my tags, and then again the reinforcers. And so I'm just going to play around with those. I played around with the color a little bit. I cut a little bit of this out for you guys because it's kind of boring. You don't need to see me cutting dies and playing around with paper. But I had contemplated using just white reinforcers on all 3 tags, and then ultimately I just kind of mixed and matched the colors. I've used my Xyron, my little Xyron sticker maker, to make this process very easy on myself to get those reinforcers down. You can see right there off to the left, I just had one of those larger ones that fell out of my sleeve. I couldn't find it earlier. And then I realized, oh, I'll put those over the holes that will be for the 6-ring binder. And I really love that. So that's why I end up using it in the end. So now I've gone ahead and I've just glued those down, and I've used a wooden skewer to move them around. I also used that skewer to help kind of place them in the Xyron. That is a great little tool. I keep it in my little pen holder. I use it all the time. So now I'm just going to play around with placement. And I'm going to go ahead and glue it down, and of course I'm going to end up peeling some of this up and moving it around because I didn't like the original placement. It left some awkward space, and I apologize if you can hear my toddler, and because it's dad's in charge right now, so who knows what's going on out there. But if you have kids, you understand. You take advantage of your time away from them when you can to get things done. So here we are. So, okay, so back to the spread here. So I've kind of moved things around a little bit, and I finally get a placement that I really like. And I'm just going to trim off the sides here. I have them overlapping and kind of running off the page, and I wanted to just kind of clean that up. And now comes the fun part. I really finally get to get into the embellishing. So I love all these little stickers here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling off the ones that I really wanted to use. I love this yellow flower. It's so beautiful. And the squirrel was so perfect. So perfect. And I always wondered, how am I ever going to incorporate this squirrel into any of my spreads? I tend to be very literal when it comes to embellishing, and I'm really struggling with that. I'm trying to push myself outside of that comfort zone of being so literal. And this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I mean, it's still a squirrel and an acorn. It's fall, so it's still kind of literal, but I'm trying. I'm trying really hard to get out of that space. So I just play around with putting down the little embellishments, and I wanted to make sure to incorporate the white and the black and bring that over across from the left side, because the left side, it's really all about the background photo, which doesn't necessarily scream fall. To me it did, because I was having a cup of coffee and it was a chilly day, and so rather than another spread about coffee, I decided I'd rather do something about what it was that I was really loving about that moment. So that side of the spread has the little bit of black and it has the white, and so I wanted to make sure that it made sense to carry it over. So I have just little bits, little peaks of the black and white, and I feel like that kind of helps balance it. The other thing that I had just done was played around with that favorite, the little word favorite. I had placed it at the top, and I did not like that placement. I wanted to keep everything to the bottom so that your eye is naturally going from the left to the right and from the top to the bottom. I felt like if your eye all of a sudden had to read down the page and then jump back up to the other side, it just felt disjointed. So I have gone ahead and taken that off. I put a little piece of washi tape down there on the bottom, and I'm playing around again with this the word favorite. It makes sense because that's what I'm talking about. And then ultimately I decide that this just needs to be done. The only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some more of that craft foam, and I'm going to pop up the acorn. And that's another reason why working outside of the page protector can be so fun, because you can add those extra little bits of dimension. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it put into my binder. The only other thing that I will do is take it back out and go ahead and cut out some of the hole reinforcers. So I've decided to go ahead and use this butterscotch paper. It made me kind of think of a sweater. I really, really, really loved that color. And again, I just used my Xyron to get them all sticky. Easiest way that I could think to do that. And I'll just pop those all down. I really like how it kind of also gives this finished look to the side of the page. Now it's going to be really hard for me to not add these hole reinforcers to every single page I put in my book. But for this page, I think it really worked well. It really helped to balance it all out. So now I have that added into my book, and I just love how this turned out. Again, I used a combination of digital stamps from Kellie Stamps And I based this whole thing off of this new release in September called Routine. Again, I love the big numbers, and I think this is going to be a set that I'll use over and over and over again. I think it's one of those sets that is going to be very, very versatile. So if you are interested in getting your hands on some Kellie stamps yourself, I want to make sure that you know that I do have a promo code that you can use, a personal code. If you go on to Kellie Stamps, which the link is below, and spend $15 or more, you can get 10% off. That is including digital and physical stamps. So thanks for watching, friends. And if you like this video, I would love if you give a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And then finally, don't forget to hit that little bell so that you are getting notified when new videos are posted. Thanks, friends, and I'll see you next time.